Oh shit. What's up guys, Optic Ashes. Why do I do that with my hand? What's up guys, Optic Ashes here, bringing you another hashtag Ask Ashes video. Today we are back home, finally recording one of these, and I got a good list of questions from you guys today. I tweeted out early this morning, early this morning as in around 12:30 when I woke up. So we've got a good list of questions and we are going to go ahead and start getting through them. The first 4 are from anonymous, like people who DM me and want to remain anonymous. All right, question number 1 asks, who do you think are the best teams in the game right now? I'm gonna have to say we Optic Gaming are the #1 team. I would say E6, E United, Splice are kind of the 2, 3, 4, but I don't really know what order. I think Splice plays really well. Their gun skill isn't quite there, but they make the rounds seem really feel really close. E United is very hit or miss still because the game's still new, and E6 is the only team to take a map off of us in competitive. So, or at least in that tournament, that's the only really competitive thing that we've done. So I would say those are pretty much some of the top teams right now, and then Envy after that. But we'll see how Envy is with Praise. We haven't really scrimmed them at all or anything. Question number 2 asks, why did you choose to sign with Optic? And this one is pretty easy to answer. Basically, Optic was a dream org of ours. We knew, we were all huge fans. We knew this was the epitome of where we wanted to be. This was the peak. This is the point that we're all working towards. And when they made us an offer, and talked to us and met with us, it was all of their goals lined up with all of our goals. So it's everything kind of fit together perfectly. It was like a puzzle piece getting put into the right place. So it just made the best sense to go with Optic because of all those reasons, along with the fact that Optic is a great place for anybody who wants to have a career in esports. So being that we want to make a career out of this was our best option, ignoring all the favoritism and fanboyism that we had towards Optic. Question number 3, are there specific roles for Gears of War? Not really. There's kind of support players, kind of slayers. Now they're trying to make the person who sits in your home hill the role called anchor or something. We don't really use any of that. You don't go recruiting for an anchor. You know what I mean? It's not really the same as League of Legends, which was your question. Question number 4, what's the hardest thing to do while coaching a Gears team? Honestly, the hardest thing that I've found is knowing the right thing to say at the worst of times. So when the team is losing, when things aren't looking that good, when you lose a map, knowing what to say to your players that's going to re-spark their fire and get them reinvested into that match. Because a lot of players have this issue where if they play and they try really hard and they lose, then they start to get down on themselves, and you have to kind of push them back into place and get them in the right mindset again. So it's all about being able to know what makes them focus in on the match and on what they're doing, and then going from there. Question number 5 comes from @Sean Brussel, who asks, what was the best part about the tournament yesterday for you? Honestly, winning the first Gears of War tournament for this game before the game's even fully released was an awesome feeling, and doing it so in such a dominant fashion was really cool. Question number 6 comes from @JumpinJack151, who asks, how should I prepare for Gears 4 and what should I learn since I'm sort of new? If you're saying prepare as in you don't have the game, play Gears of War games. This game feels a lot like Gears of War 3. So if you play Gears of War 3, you'll get the feel for the movement and the way this game feels. If you have this game, then just start grinding it. That's going to be your best way. Learn how to claw if you don't claw already, or have a controller with paddles, because that's going to help you optimize your gameplay and be able to get that movement that a lot of players use. Question number 7 comes from @XStraightBrutal, who asks, is it possible to go pro in Gears even if you don't use paddles or play claw? Yes, it's just more difficult to be at that upper echelon of movement and mechanics in the game. That being said, you can still do it. Going pro is not all about raw mechanical skill. It's about knowledge. It's about decision making. It's about just being an intelligent player. But when you get down to the nitty gritty of the 1v1 fights, it's going to be a lot harder for you if you can't keep up with some of the top players. Question number 8 comes from @Rain_NX, who asks, how does the coaching feel now that it's different and faster game mode? I play much less of a role in game during the round than I did in Gears of War Ultimate Edition. And this is mostly because in Gears of War Ultimate Edition, I could help call out and there was only 4 people. In the respawn game type where there's constant communication, I really don't have that much to say during the round unless something's being overlooked or they're not noticing something or somebody's not speaking loud enough, then I'll help them. But between rounds, it's because every round changes, giving feedback between rounds, you have to know what you can say that will apply to the next round, not just generic advice. So, you know, if they place a boom shot on the map, that might change up the strategy that you run off the initial. So you kind of have to be able to help your team adapt to that. Question number 9 comes from @KillaBees3, who asks, how tough is it to coach during an online tournament like this past weekend? Online is always going to be more difficult to coach than on LAN. I do a lot of I judge what I say based a lot on my players' body language and facial expressions, because you can tell a lot about how a person's thinking or feeling. And being that this is online, I can't do that. I have to kind of get a feel through just tone of voice what the right thing to say to them, especially like after a loss kind of thing, and when I can say different things and know that players are going to be receptive of the feedback. Because online, players have a tendency to like have too many distractions. Like right now I have 3 monitors in front of me, and if something happens over on this one, then I'm going to get distracted from what I'm doing over here, and I might not, if somebody was speaking to me like through my headset, I might not retain what they're saying as well as if I was just having a conversation with them in person and that was all I had to focus on. So that being said, the difficulty is just being able to adapt to that, and a good coach should be able to do so. Question number 10 comes from @BigMatt78, who asks, I played GAL 2 and I loved it. What are the differences in GAL 4 and past games? Gears of War 4 has the movement of Gears 3, and the shotgun is kind of all over the place right now, so it's really hard for me to judge. It's not like Gears of War 1. It's kind of like Gears of War 2. But the game itself, with escalation being the main game mode for competitive, it's a lot different. I mean, that's never been done before, so it's really hard to judge. But I will say that Gears of War 4, hands down, is the best game of the franchise. Number 11 comes from @BKBaller_, who asks, have you tried out Gears 4 on PC? Could it be better than Xbox? I have not tried it out on PC. I would like to. I'm going to as soon as I have time to. Is it better than Xbox, or could it be better than Xbox? Probably. I imagine that the skill gap is a lot, or the abilities of people, I should say, will be a lot higher in PC just because of your accuracy with a mouse. But that being said, I don't think the user base is going to be as great, just simply because Gears of War 4 is an immensely difficult game to run. Like, you have to have a really good computer, so you have to have a good computer, which limits the number of people who are going to play it. Plus, it's kind of known as an Xbox title, so the majority of competition is on Xbox, and that is going to make the PC version kind of die down a little bit in terms of, you know, how many people are actually playing it. Question number 12 comes from @Samran_Jonas, who asks, are you guys getting a team house? We would love to. That's a goal of ours, but there's nothing in the works right now. Number 13 comes from @ClanGun94, who asks, is execution still a competitive game mode, or is it just going to be escalation? It's just going to be escalation. Execution, rest in peace, is done for. So, and we're all happy about it, to be honest. Escalation is an amazing game mode. We love it. It's fast. It's fun. It's different. It has a meta. It has everything that we want in a competitive game type. Execution did not. So we're very excited about this. Question number 14 comes from @O_Mr. Shadow_O, who asks, which teams will have a rivalry close to Optic and Envy? That one's difficult because I don't know the inner workings. Like, I could see whatever team Fatal Strike joins will having like a big rivalry with E6, as well as whatever team Poseidon joins having a big rivalry with E6. E United really has like a rivalry with us. Because they're really hungry to beat us. Like, they consider us their #1 competition. I always see the non-NA teams having a competition with any NA team. So I don't think there's ever going to be a rivalry, or there is going to be a rivalry as big as Optic or Envy, but there are going to be some other rivalries. The big thing is just seeing how the storylines kind of develop as they move on. Question number 15 comes from @PR Bison, who asks, what advice do you have for a brand new team just starting out in the competitive scene? Play together, understand where you are as a team and what you need to work on, and start achieving goals. You know, set yourself different objectives and goals that you want to achieve and start working towards those. And stay humble is the biggest thing. Too many teams, too many young blood teams have these massive egos for absolutely zero reason, because they have a GB record that's, you know, 30-2, and they think they're gods at the game all of a sudden because they can play really well online. Don't do that. Like, don't become one of those. Just be talented, be humble, and work hard, and you'll get noticed or you'll get better. And that's your goal, right? So, you know, just keep that in mind. You know, don't be one of those teams. Number 16 comes from @KevPOV, who asks, what is your opinion on escalation? Love it. Game type is the best game type that we've had in Gears of War, in my opinion. And this game is the best game that we've had, so it works perfectly together. It provides everything that we needed in esport game type, with a meta game and action and fun for spectators to watch, and just a lot of movement. I think it all works out perfectly, especially with the addition of making it 5v5. So I absolutely love the game type. Question number 17 and the final question of today's video comes from @ImDev, who asks, is Gears generally aggressive? I often see trash talking and such. I quite enjoy it. Also, has Envy always been OG's rivals in Gears? Gears is a pretty aggressive game. I think Call of Duty, back before money was involved, that's kind of the Gears of War community, because all we've really had is passion and pride to play on. So Gears of War, I mean, even the game is aggressive and in your face and violent and gory game. So that's kind of the feel of the community. It's more of like a UFC feel, you know? So, it's very in your face and aggressive and trash talking, but the guys are awesome guys, you know, like it feels like one big family. So, you know, it might be trash talk in game. It might be like, it might sound like two people hate each other in game, but afterwards they still shake hands and we still hang out. So, you know, it's a really awesome community to be part of. As for the Envy versus Optic rivalry, yes, that's been a thing since Gears of War Ultimate Edition. And there's a lot of reasons why, right? We have Kenny, who's Envy's ex-player. We're always the top two teams, which kind of creates that rivalry between them, you know, number 1 and number 2. There's a lot of, you know, kind of not passive aggressive, but kind of like sub trash talk back and forth to each other. So, you know, it creates quite the rivalry. Plus now they're playing with Solars, who's an ex-teammate of ours. And now we've got the brands, Envy versus Optic, which adds that rivalry because the brands had a rivalry. So it's building up to be a really massive storyline for Gears of War, which is awesome. It's exactly what the competitive scene needed for Gears of War. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, a thumbs up, and take the time. Let me know in the comments if you have a question for next week's video. I didn't have any question in last week's video in the comments, so I'm not doing that segment. But if you leave a question there with the hashtag AskAshes, I will make sure to get it in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button down below. I appreciate the support, and I will see you all in the next episode.